Hello, this webinar is titled The Star Spangled Banner, Its Journey to Becoming the National Anthem, and it's a part of a multi-part series on the Star Spangled Banner. The Star Spangled Banner is sung every major sports and government event, stirring deep feelings among citizens. But how did it become our national anthem? Well, did you know the journey took 117 years? And this is a quick study on that journey. On September 13, 1814, Francis Scott Key watched the British bombardment of Fort McHenry from a British ship where he had gone out to do a prisoner exchange and had been detained until after the bombardment. On the morning of September 14th, upon seeing the flag over the fort, he began to pen the words, "Oh say can you see," on the back of an envelope. Key continued to work on his poem song while on the ship, and even as he wrote the poem, he had a song in mind to mark this epic event. On September 16th, he was led offshore in the evening of the day. On September 16th, he continued to work on the song at the Indian Queen Hotel, and the working title was The Defense of Fort McHenry. On September 17th, which is actually Constitution Day, Key gave the poem to his brother-in-law, Judge Joseph Nicholson. Nicholson, on that same day, took the text to a printer and printed up a broadsides, two of which remain today. Well, September 17th, being Constitution Day, I find that it's a rather remarkable coincidence, or divine providence, that the Star Spangled Banner was first published on the day that the Constitution had been signed 27 years before. I think this is rather remarkable. Well, on September 20th, the Baltimore Patriot and American newspaper printed the song, The Defense of Fort McHenry, with the note to the tune of Anacreon in Heaven. Let's pause briefly to speak about Anacreon because it comes up in discussion from time to time. Anacreon was a Greek poet and songwriter. His poetry touched on universal themes of love, infatuation, disappointment, revelry, parties, and festivals, and the observations of everyday people in life. Well, in Great Britain, there were Anacreontic societies, and they would sing the Anacreontic song. It was popular amongst 18th century British men's clubs, and these were like singing clubs. It was not so much a drinking song as some have proposed, like 99 bottles of beer on the wall, but it was a singing and social club. Sure, they would have a social time afterwards, but think of it as a modern-day glee club. Well, in September and October of 1814, 17 newspapers from Georgia to New Hampshire printed the words of the Star Spangled Banner, all 4 stanzas. It was during this time that Thomas Carr, a music publisher in Baltimore, was the first to publish the song with the music score and the title, The Star Spangled Banner, and the name stuck thereafter. In October of 1814, the first public performance took place. Baltimore actor Ferdinand Durang sang it. He was a wildly popular actor at the time at the Captain Macaulay's Tavern. In the months after this, it became a patriotic favorite, but was not yet our national anthem. You see, from 1814 up to 1861, up to the Civil War, there were competing national patriotic songs. Amongst the top 3 were Hail Columbia, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and the Star Spangled Banner. And what's notable about these particular 3 songs is the deep spiritual content that also accompanies the patriotic feelings. And it's worthy to pause right now and take a look at these 2 other songs and some of the content. Hail Columbia was written in 1789 for George Washington's inauguration. It contains the words, "Oh, hail Columbia, happy land, hail ye heroes, heaven-born band." It goes on. "While offering peace sincere and just, in heavens we place our manly trust, that truth and justice will prevail, and every scheme of bondage fail." And so a real reliance on heaven. My Country 'Tis of Thee is equally notable. These inspired lyrics were completed in 30 minutes, and that says a lot about the inspiration of this song. It was written in 1831 and sung for the first time on July 4th at Park Street Church in Boston, which has a very patriotic history during the Revolutionary War period. Interestingly enough, the tune was to that of God Save the Queen, the British song honoring the Queen. And its 4th stanza sings like this: "Our fathers, God, to Thee, author of liberty, to Thee we sing. Long may our land be bright, with freedom's holy light. Protect us by Thy might, great God our King." deeply spiritual lyrics, particularly in the fourth stanza. Many of these songs capture this as kind of the benediction in the song. And as we've looked at before, the fourth stanza of the Star Spangled Banner is no less spiritual. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, for our cause it is just, and this be our motto, and God is our trust. So these three anthems were sung up until the Civil War as national anthems or patriotic songs. During the Civil War, things changed. In the North, the Battle Hymn of the Republic became the popular song, and in the South, it became Dixie. But once again, after the Civil War, the Star Spangled Banner began to return and be played at July 4th celebrations on other occasions. Fast forwarding to July 27, 1889, Secretary of the Navy signed the General Order No. 374, making the Star Spangled Banner the official tune to be played at the raising of the flag. In 1897, it was sung at opening day baseball ceremonies in Philadelphia for the first time. In 1916, a couple of decades later, President Woodrow Wilson had the Star Spangled Banner be played at military and other appropriate occasions. He also realized there were various versions of the song in use, and so he commissioned the U.S. Bureau of Education with providing an official version. They enlisted the help of 5 musicians to agree upon an arrangement, and that arrangement was played for the first time on December 5, 1917. A standardized version was performed in Carnegie Hall. On November 3, 1929, again another decade later, Ripley's Believe It or Not said that America has no national anthem. As recently as 1914, Congress refused to endorse the Star Spangled Banner. Well, this got people busy in 1931. Opinion pieces began to appear, Congress began to act, and on March 3, 1931, President Herbert Hoover, the Star Spangled Banner became our official national anthem as he signed it into law. After that, it began to be used regularly. In 1945, it began to be sung before every baseball game, and other sports followed. And then a couple of highlights of where the Star Spangled Banner has appeared in history as a flag. On February 23, 1945, the flag of Iwo Jima was planted during World War II. On July 20, 1969, the Apollo 11 flag was planted on the moon at the first lunar landing, and this is astronaut Buzz Aldrin. And on that particular trip, Neil Armstrong said, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." At September 11, 2001, this iconic picture was taken as the flag was raised after the 9/11 terror attacks at the World Trade Center. And now we find ourselves September 14, 2014, the 200-year anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner. And to celebrate this event, for the first time in history, the original manuscript and the flag that inspired it have been brought together in the same place. Along with this historic pairing, months of events have been planned, historic tall ships have sailed, Blue Angels have flown over, the state's largest ever fireworks show took place, concerts, educational programs for adults and children, all surrounding the historic events around the anthem and the flag that inspired them. Moving forward, there's a future display of the Star Spangled Banner that's been planned. Museum curator Jennifer Jones says this: "We hope as a national museum, people will be inspired to learn more about history and to be a part of history. The anthem has become much more than poetic words and popular music. It was and is a symbol that is transformative." Indeed. I hope you've liked this quick journey on the history of the Star Spangled Banner and its journey to becoming the national anthem. My name's Craig Seibert. Thanks for listening.